These are what I believe to be the 5 biggest questions for Michigan football heading into 2022. 2021 was the best season for Michigan football in a long time. Victory over Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship, going to the college football playoff, even though we're not going to talk about what happened once Michigan got there. Bottom line is that it was a great season, but a lot has changed in the offseason, so let's talk about it. We got a new offensive coordinator because Josh Gaddis left and went to Miami, so Sharon Moore and Matt Weiss are taking over as co-OCs. New defensive coordinator because Mike McDonald went back to the Ravens, so we get Jesse Minter from Vanderbilt. Michigan's best 3 players on defense all went to the NFL, and so did Hassan Haskins. With all of those departures and changes, there are quite a few questions about Michigan football heading into the season, so let's talk about the biggest ones. One of the biggest, if not the biggest question is, how effective is the pass rush going to be? You lose 2 basically first-round talents, Hutchinson, who went number 2 overall, and Ojabo, who definitely would have gone in the first round if he didn't get hurt prior to the draft. So how effective is that pass rush going to be? Who's going to step up? Are they going to be able to get pressure off the edge? Chris Hinton left too, so that's another spot on the defensive line that needs to be filled. Taylor Upshaw has shown a lot of promise, I think. And then you got Mike Morris coming back and guys like Chris Jenkins, who looked pretty good in the spring game. And then some other young guys who are going to have an opportunity. But the question remains, how effective is the pass rush going to be? With the brand new defensive coordinator, we really don't know. Jesse Minter was with the Ravens before, and a lot of people are saying that he's going to run a similar system to what Mike McDonald did, but we don't know for sure exactly how the defense is going to look, period. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Question number 2, and it's probably the question number 1 on most people's minds, is who's going to play quarterback? Is it going to be Cade McNamara, who led the team to the playoffs last year, who has the experience? Or is it going to be JJ McCarthy, who doesn't have as much experience, but has a higher ceiling when it comes to talent? Is Harbaugh going to go with the more safe option, or is he going to go with the higher risk but higher reward option? What didn't help things was JJ's injury because he didn't get to play in the spring game, so we didn't get to see anything about how he was going to be used, if he was going to be QB1 or 2, how many snaps he took, how he looked, any of that stuff. We did see Cade in a very small sample size, and he didn't really look all that great. But, then again, it was like 2 series. Jim Harbaugh's been the coach at Michigan since 2015. And if there's one thing we know about Jim, it's that he usually leans toward experience. So it wouldn't shock me if Cade does at least start the season as the starter. But I think a lot of us want just a fair quarterback competition and truly go with the better quarterback, whether it's Cade or whether it's JJ. They should be the ones to take the reins from game 1. If you look at Michigan's schedule, they definitely have a bit of a runway when it comes to the early games. They won't really have a challenge until probably week 5 or so. So they have some time to sort it all out. But I would like to see JJ get a lot of reps early. I think he will, even if he's not the quote-unquote starter. It is a tricky situation for Harbaugh because Cade did lead the team to the Big Ten championship and a victory in that game and to the playoff. But I think most people would say he's not the reason that Michigan went to the playoff last year, that it was the defense. It's hard. It's a tricky situation because it's kind of like Georgia, right? It's kind of like Georgia last year. People were wanting Stetson Bennett out of there. Get JT in there. He's more talented. But he stuck with Stetson Bennett, just like he stuck with Jake Fromm back in the day instead of Justin Fields. And in hindsight, people were saying that's the wrong call. But now that they won with Stetson Bennett, that was the right call. So for Harbaugh, it's like either way, he's going to, if say he puts JJ in and JJ struggles, against in their first test or something against Iowa. What if JJ struggles and Michigan ends up losing that game because of turnovers or something? Then you're going to have part of the fan base saying, Cade wouldn't have thrown that ball, or Cade wouldn't have turned the ball over that many times, whatever. So he's going to be in a kind of a tricky situation no matter who he goes with. Either way, the team's going to have a hell of a backup unless the backup transfers out. Question number 3 I have is who's going to play right tackle? I don't think that's something to freak out about because they're going to be fine. It's going to be probably Trente Jones or Carson Barnhart. With Stuber gone to the NFL, they got to fill that spot. So it is a big question, even though I think they'll be fine. You know, you have the offensive line who won the best offensive line in the country trophy last year. Insert your Georgia jokes here, I know, but that was one game. Other than that, offensive line played great. I have a lot of confidence in the offensive line, period, and Sharon Moore to coach them, so I think they'll be good. Question number 4, what will the offensive play calling look like? When your offensive coordinator leaves, then that leaves a big question of who's going to call the plays and what kind of plays. So I think with Sharon Moore taking over, it's going to be a lot of running the football, which is a lot of what we've seen under Jim Harbaugh anyways. And yes, Gaddis won Coordinator of the Year last year, but he was also there for several years, and there were several years of struggle on offense. So I'm not sure he's the main reason that Michigan had such a great offensive year last year. It was running the football, and you have Sharon Moore there who is kind of a key to all that. So, and you have two of the best running backs in the Big Ten for sure, in the country probably. So it's going to be run, run, run. And also, it depends on who's going to play quarterback. If JJ plays, then we're going to see probably a good bit of read option and also a lot more throws down the field. If it's Cade, the offense will be more conservative. So it definitely wouldn't surprise me if in the early games we see a lot of what we saw last year that a lot of the fan base was complaining about. Like, all this team does is run the ball. What are they going to do when they play a better team? What are they going to do when they play a better defense? They're not going to be able to run like this against Ohio State or whatever. And they did. So maybe it's just a lot of that again. Run, run, run. I would like to see a more dynamic offense. I mean, the offense was dynamic last year, but we got Ronnie Bell coming back, and JJ should get a lot of playing time. The receivers are great. Just a lot of talent on the offense. And I think the offense is going to have to carry the defense, kind of like the defense carried the offense last year. Question 5 is, who's going to step up in the secondary? Daxton Hill is gone. Brad Hawkins is gone. Vincent Gray is gone. One could argue that might not be the biggest loss ever, but it is experience. So who's going to step up? Rod Moore looked really good last year as a freshman, playing some safety. At cornerback, I think we're good. DJ Turner, Jamon Green, both pretty solid cornerbacks. But who else is going to step up? Because going back to the pass rush, if it's not there, they're going to need to step up the game in the secondary because the quarterbacks are going to have more time to throw. And for obvious reasons, that's not good. We saw in the spring game that Sanders still played some defense. So what's his role going to be? Is he going to play like nickel corner? Is he going to play a lot? Is he going to play offense and defense? We don't know. Now, the answers to those 5 questions are going to determine the answer to the bigger question. Can Michigan be as good or better than they were last year? I think that's going to be a difficult task because of the talent lost on defense. Like I said earlier, the offense is going to have to step up. The defense carried the team last year. The offense is going to have to carry them this year because I don't see the defense being as good as it was last year. If you want to check out this video right here about Michigan's 2022 schedule, then maybe we'll get a better idea of just how good they can be and how many games they can win. Go Blue!